Today's video, how I repurpose rusty scrap. Hello, I'm Eugene Tordo. This is ET Garage, and today's video is going to be how I repurpose scrap. This rusty tube here is actually from an Edelbrock shock that was on my 2003 Chevy S10. I used to go through a lot of shocks on that truck, and it wasn't because they wore out, it's because they just seemed to corrode so bad because I drove it all winter long. And this was a case of where they just corroded so bad. I just took them off and put other ones on. All the replacement shocks after these Edelbrock shocks rotted away, I went ahead and I used to put extra coat of clear coat all over the shocks, about 2 or 3 coats, just to help keep them from rusting. It didn't do anything. Those shocks would just rust just as bad. Here in Northeast PA, where they use that salt spray, and then it's cold country, so you get coal dust from like the strippings and stuff, and the rain's acidic, it just eats away everything really bad. But I'm going to repurpose this. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I'm going to show you how I at least clean it up and make it more useful. And I'll show you rusty other stuff and some other things that I use that I just save and I reuse them, and I may never use them, but I do save them and hopefully one day repurpose them. Let's move over to my lathe and milling machine, and I'll show you how I clean these up, and then I'll show you some more things. Let's get over there. Alright, I already took the, unfortunately I already cut the shocks up, but if I showed you the shocks before I cut them up, you could see how bad they really were. The front ones I already threw away, those were bad too. And I'm going to show you, like, this is the tube from after I machined it. This one was a lot worse than this one. This one should clean up even better. But you can see how clean it is inside and out. I mean, it needs to be wiped down, but it cleaned up real nice. And I don't know what I'm going to use this tube for, but I might use it one day for something. Right now, this is about 70 thousandths thickness. Stock, they're real thick. I can say that on the Edelbrocks. I don't think Edelbrock makes these shocks anymore, but yeah, they're 100 thousandths thickness. So I had to take 30 thousandths off to clean this out, but that's fine. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to use it for, and clean this up. Fortunately, I have a lathe. You don't have a lathe, you can clean them up other ways, of course, depending what you're using them for. If you need something precision, you're going to want probably a lathe. These are the pistons that came out of it. These rods, I don't know what I can use them for, but I'll hold on to them. I might be able to use them. I doubt I'll ever use this piston, though it's kind of interesting to look at. Another thing is, like, I also have these old Bilstein shocks. These were the shocks that were originally on this car when I got it. I have no idea. I'm guessing they're the original, which means they have 163,000 miles. That's when I bought this car. They were super stiff. I remember that. They rode horrible. But you know, you take the cover off, and you got this bushing under here. You have these bushings and these washers. I saved them because I use them, and because I could use them. Now, it sounds maybe cheap, but if you go to a metal supplier and buy new metal and start looking at the prices, and say you need something, say I need a rod like this for some type of purpose, and I'm going to have to either order it or run to a metal supply, purchase it, all that good stuff. I mean, the bad thing is I don't know what kind of metal this is. I'm almost certain the way this machine, that this is a chromoly steel, these Edelbrock shocks. I'm not sure about other shock brands because I got a bunch of old shocks laying around that I'll take apart. One thing, when you take an old shock apart like this, it is full of nitrogen gas and it's pressurized. So you want to drill a small hole in it, preferably outside, and have some type of catch can to catch the fluid coming out here, because all the shock oil will squirt out, high pressure. So be careful when you do that. You might want to wear eye protection. The Edelbrock, the Bilstein shocks are rebuildable, and I'm sure there's people saying out there, hey, you can head them out and have them rebuilt. I don't know if they still do it, and even if they did, the cost, last time I checked, the cost was it was just more economical just to buy new ones rather than have these rebuilt. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I'll probably just let them sit in a corner somewhere. I probably never do anything with them. I have no reason to take them apart other than to see what's inside. So if somebody wants me to take apart and see what's inside, I can do that. See what their piston assembly is like. You could probably just go online and look it up, though. Here's another thing. This round aluminum was one of these square aluminum cook pans. And what I did is I cut 3 holes out of it, sandwiched it together, put a bolt in the middle, hold it all together, and machined it. And what I use this for is to set the piston ring square in the bore when you're checking piston ring gap. So that's what I use that for. Let me move this camera around, and I'll show you if I could. Anyone who's follows my channel, like I made this video on the shelf I did under here. I used just a bunch of rusty angle iron and tubing that I had laying around. Didn't cost me anything other than time. And if you want to include the cost of stuff I already had, like I already had the cutting tools and the cutting blades. Of course, cutting blades are wear items, so you can, I guess you could factor that in the cost. But even if I went out and bought new metal, I'm still going to have to cut it and fit it to do things like make that shelf. Now, I didn't do a video on this other shelf, but I'll show you what I made that out of. And let me move the camera around and I'll show you that. Alright, if you look here, this is my shelf on the other side that I made. This is actually like the wrought iron railing, it's kind of the hollow stuff that you buy at like Home Depot and stuff. And I had 2 pieces, and they weren't the correct length, of course, to fit under this shelf. So basically, I cut the ends off and then butted them up against each other and welded them and all that stuff. And now I have this shelf. I'm going to probably put a board under here. But right now, it works real good. I can put all my stuff. It helped clean up down here. I still got a lot more cleaning up down here I need to do to straighten all this out. Stuff I can get rid of. But it does help clean up the space. So it was worth it. Now, let me think what else I got here. Let's look around. Yeah, here that rusty angle iron, and of course you can see the shelf down here. I used old plywood and rusty angle iron and stuff. I could have, if I wanted to get real fancy, of course, wire wheel that rust off of there and paint it with a rust encapsulator. But this is just, old beat up garage. Eventually all this stuff I'm going to build some type of racks for too. Get this stuff off the floor. We'll go over here and see this mess. And over in this corner, I had this cast iron porcelain sink. This thing weighs a lot. I think it might weigh as much as this small block Chevy. Well, not quite as much, but that's that bigger small block Chevy block. But it was hanging on the wall there. I'm not using it. I'm gonna get that out of there. I got it on Facebook Marketplace for free, and a couple other Facebook places on Facebook to hopefully get rid of it. So hopefully somebody will pick it up. If not, it's going to go outside somewhere until I can get rid of it. Maybe I'll put it on in front of the house with a free sign or something. I want to build shelves here, and I've been looking on Facebook Marketplace for used shelves. Big problem I have is almost all the shelves, metal shelves, are 36 inches in width, and I already have my pellet stove installed, and it's 30 inches from here to that wall. So I got to get something narrower. Now up in my loft where that ladder goes up there, I have all sorts of 2x4s and I believe a plywood. I don't know if I have plywood, but I got paneling that I can use, and if I had to use for shelves, and then just reinforce it with that. I might build sort of like a combination shelf workbench here. And I always have a bench come out here to about here. I'm a little leery of using wood because it's so close to the pellet stove. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Like this right here, this part of it gets up to maybe 80 degrees. This is going to get cut anyway. I'm going to cut that there eventually and then put some more shelves there. I'm going to try and use what I have around. I'm going to probably end up going to Harbor Freight, or not Harbor Freight, Home Depot or Lowe's or one of the local lumber suppliers and put out for some plywood or something. They got those small pieces of plywood that are like 4 by 24, yeah, 4 feet by 2 feet for about, I think they're about $6-7 a sheet. So that's really not bad money so if you're going to be making a bunch of homemade wooden shelves. Of course, when I build the shelves here, I'll relocate that outlet to probably over here somewhere. I'll find out when I get there. That or maybe over there. But until I get to that, that's something else. That's my projects, is to just clean up this whole area and make a lot more room. So, one thing with pellet stoves, remember, if you get a pellet stove like I did, when you get bags of pellets, they take up lots of space. Like say you just have a whole pallet of pellets delivered. Once it gets here, you don't want to leave those pellets outside. They'll get damaged and they'll be useless if they get wet. And you got to store them inside, of course, and that takes up a lot of space. I used to do that with my pellet stove in the basement, and I used to just pile bags of pellets everywhere. Now I just run once a week to the Harbor Freight, Home Depot or Tractor Supply, and get the bags of pellets, like 6 or 8 at a time, in the back of my Chevy tracks. But let's see what else. Now we'll go back over here to Lathe, and I will show you I guess I'll show you how I'm going to machine this, or how I machined that other one. And let's see. Let me loosen this up. Slide that back. Now you can see where I already cut these off with, I need to clean this up, but with the cutoff tool here. That's called a parting tool. Basically, I mounted it in here, and you really need what they refer to as a bullnose live center here on the end, and I don't have one of them. I do have something similar to a bullnose, but they're small sizes. This is the chuck that actually holds them. This like this piece here pops out. I could say machine a piece of aluminum to fit in here to center it, but what I do is I just lubricated the outside of the housing. This is just a bowling housing. You're not supposed to do this, and it happened to just slide on there. So oil, put that on there just light, clamp it in the chuck, and turned it, and it makes a mess because when you're machining off all this rust. And because I'm using a cutting oil, it smokes like hell. So you get a lot of smoke. One project I need to do, and I need to do it soon, is make new knobs for this. I'll probably do a video on that. You can see where I just did this quickie knob, a little lever there, and I got my vice grips on that lower one. And plastic knobs, I got replacement ones. They didn't last long at all. They were worse than the originals. They just break. Yeah, so I don't know. We can let's go. Let's see. What can I do? I guess I'll go ahead. Okay, here's an example of something I used that was scrap. This was an old hub bearing from the rear of my C4 Corvette. I removed the housing, and now I can mount this in the chuck and mount a set of brake rotors to it, or whatever I want to. That'll fit that. And I actually, if you didn't see that video, I'll leave a link to it where I ground down a set of brake rotors. And that's how I did it. I basically mounted this right in the chuck, and I was able to mount the rotors in there and run them. Let me set this camera up different, and I'll see if I can get a good view of me machining this real quick, and we'll see how that comes up. That should clean up a lot better than, that should clean up, well, it should clean up the same as this, but I think I'll have a little bit more material on. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to use these for, but at least I'll have them. Let's get machining, I guess. Alright, see how well it cleaned up. You can see that little spot right here didn't clean up, so I'll have to take another pass at it. And I really just realized when I ran up to the tool here, I should have used a different tool that goes right up to the, it'll allow me to go right up to the end here. So I think I'll change that tool again and make another pass and clean that up. Okay, as you can see, I still got that high spot here, so I could take off more just to get rid of that high spot. I don't know if it's worth it, just to clean it up. It's just, like I said, I have no use for this at this time, so I don't know, maybe I'll take another cut, see what happens. Alright, my battery is just about dead, but hopefully you guys can see that. There's still that one little spot there. I ain't going to worry about cleaning that one little spot up. Not sure how much I took off. And you can see the shop is full of smoke from the cutting oil. I actually took off more than I did that one. I thought I was going to clean up a lot less, but yeah, I'm down to 60 thousandths, and like that's 70,000 to 60,000. At the point at this time in history, it doesn't matter. I don't know what I'm going to use it for. Just cleaned it up for the sake of cleaning it up. And right now, let me show you the lathe. It's a mess. Yeah, it's a mess. I got to clean up all this, all the oil, all that stuff. That's part of any type of job, you might say. So I guess I'll go ahead to cleaning that up. In the meantime, everybody have a great day, and God bless.